Hey everybody, how are you? Thanks for tuning in this week. My name is Gabrielle Victoria and this is another segment of Sip and Tip Tuesday. So happy Tuesday, number one. We've made it another 7 days, so we don't want to take that for granted. So we celebrate, we come together, and this week we're going to talk through some things, okay? First things first, if this is your first time, welcome. If this is not your first time and you are family, hey there. But either way, make sure you like, make sure you share. Put the little bell button so that you know when I drop a video, the notifications icon. But if not, subscribe, okay? And now we can get right into it. So this week's sip of the week is nothing special. It's just a little red wine. We're just gonna sip on some good old sweet red wine. From Barefoot. Because I don't want to spend too much time on our sip, I'm just going to sip it as we talk. It's one of those kind of shows, one of those kind of episodes today. Forgiveness. That's our tip. That's our topic. That's our subject for today. It's forgiveness. And more importantly, more specifically, forgiveness of self. I know we often hear and we often talk about forgiving other people, which is very important, which is necessary. But sometimes we don't give ourselves that same grace. We don't give ourselves that same opportunity to forgive what we've done and, transgressions that we've committed against ourselves. So today's episode is extremely important and personal to me. It is self-forgiveness, okay? So, of course, whenever we have a really serious topic, I like to write down my notes because I don't want to take the opportunity and miss something that I think is important that you guys need, that I need. So here we go. Tip number one, or I guess let me open up a little bit and talk about why we're going to talk about forgiveness today. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of times where we are easy, or maybe not, but we're taught to always forgive other people. Say you're sorry or listen to them or give them a second chance. And we go through the motions and we work through ourselves this process mentally and emotionally to get to the place of forgiveness for this other person. And there's a very real reality that says you have done some things as well. And whether those things are atrocious, whether you violated your own boundaries, whether you came out of character, whether you let yourself down, you feel like you failed yourself, whatever the same attributes that someone else can do to hurt you, we sometimes can do that to ourselves. And we have to also, part of self-preservation and self-care and self-development is, yes, do reflection, but also forgive yourself for the things that you did that were not right, that were not perfect, that didn't meet your mark. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So tip number one is mistakes don't define you. You are not what you have done, okay? Now, I want to preface this and make it extremely and vividly clear that there is a distinct difference between a mistake and a chosen pathology, okay? Let's be real for a second. Can we take off our hats and our glasses and sit down for a quick second? There's a difference between you slipping up and doing something one time and then you choosing to repeatedly do it, okay? Everyone makes mistakes, okay? Everyone doesn't meet the marks. Everyone trips up sometimes and we fall and we are just totally disgusted with what happened. Things and situations get away from us, okay? Things get out of hand and they go too far. Mistake. Fair enough, okay? You're human. We make mistakes. We are capable of fallacy. Now, the difference in you not being your mistakes and then you not being your patterns. Your patterns is an indicator of your behavior, your character, your integrity, who you are when no one's watching. And if you are repeatedly doing something over and over again, and it's something that you know is not true to you, it's not a mistake. It's a choice. It's a pattern. It's a pathology. It is a distinct, habitual reoccurrence, okay? And we're going to talk about that. You still deserve forgiveness. But there are so many times where I know for myself and for my friends and other people that for the most part, they're mistakes. It's a one-time, one-off. Oop, I lost my temper. Oop, I said something sideways. Oop, I didn't tell the truth. Oop, I slipped up and probably shouldn't have done that. but it's not who we are. It's not what we do. It hasn't ever happened again, and it probably won't ever happen again, okay? So in that sense, I'm speaking to that, the clear definition of a mistake. You are not your mistake. And so don't beat yourself up over the one slip up, okay? Part of forgiving yourself is having grace with yourself. I've been working extremely hard on giving grace to people and understanding that we're human and seeing them in their humanity, their realness, their truth, and being able to extend grace because I understand what it's like to be human as well. But what we're not going to enable are people's patterns and their pathologies when they make repetitive choices, okay? Okay, so that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is push yourself, but don't punish yourself. So the reason we make mistakes is because I said we're human. And when you make those mistakes, the growth and the maturity says to glean from them, learn from them, reflect on them. What did you do? How could you have, participated differently? How could you have responded differently? Where did that come from? What forced you or triggered you to respond in such a way? After you've done that kind of reflection, the idea is to push yourself past it, like push for a higher mark. Push yourself to be better, to practice a different way, to maybe set a different boundary now that you know what it's like to be in that situation. Push yourself without punishing yourself, okay? Punishing yourself is that negative self-talk, those negative thoughts, those literally beating yourself up for what you did. You get disgusted with yourself and can't stand yourself, and it becomes self-loathing. It becomes self-loathing in a sense, and we don't want to do that. We have to understand, again, we're human. So push yourself, but don't punish yourself. There's a such thing as positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and sometimes negative reinforcement can do good, but not in excess. So you have to be careful and draw that line between pushing yourself to do better, to reach for a higher mark, to live by a higher standard, to do better for the next time without punishing yourself, because that's not healthy, all right? So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, numero 3. If you apply the lesson, then it doesn't count as a loss. Now, operative word in this sentence is apply, okay? If you apply the lesson, it does not count as a loss. Meaning, after something wrong happens, we usually tend to analyze it, right? We think about what happened, who it happened with, why it happened, why we allowed it to happen, what could have been different. If you're doing self-reflection and growing and working on yourself, then you are looking at how you could have responded, what triggers may have been there that allowed it to come up to the surface, all of the things. You do the thinking. But once you realize the lesson in it, you figure out what I was supposed to learn from this. The power is in applying that lesson, okay? It's not just having the knowledge of the lesson or you jotting it down or you thinking about it and then that's where it stops. In order for this lesson not to have been a loss, for this mistake not to have just been in vain, you need to apply it to the next time, okay? That's an actionable step to make sure that what I have thought about, what I have planned, and who I say I am are all in alignment. And here's the step that's going to happen so that that doesn't happen again, okay? So that I can make a different choice. So if you apply the lesson, then it doesn't count as a loss. You didn't lose anything. They say, if you learn something from a situation, you didn't lose. And so I say, if you apply the lesson that you learned, then you didn't lose. It's one thing to know better and not do better. It's a whole different thing when you know better and you can do better. And those things are focused, centered, and aligned, okay? So that's my encouragement to myself. That's my encouragement to y'all this week. Is for number 1, realize that your mistakes, keyword mistakes, are not going to define you. They don't change who you are. You're bigger than your mistakes, okay? Number 2, make sure that you're pushing yourself, but not punishing yourself. We want to strive, we want to do better, but we don't want to punish ourselves and harbor those negative thoughts, okay? And number 3, if you apply the lesson to the next time, then it doesn't count as a loss. It's only a loss when you know better, but you refuse to do better, okay? So that's my tips to you guys. I hope that you guys take it, like it, work with it, take something that applies to you. You don't have to take it all, but that's my life. that's what I had on my heart to share with you guys. You're allowed to make mistakes, guys. We all do it. But self-forgiveness is the key to being able to see life and to live life and to learn through life. And it'll make us better people and help us to be more equipped to forgive other people when we're easier to forgive ourselves for the things that we do. And a lot of the times, those mistakes and those fumbles and those faults that we see ourselves doing, they're really there. They humble us in a lot of ways. They reveal to us some truths that we may have thought were differently until put to the test. And that's all healthy, as long as we apply what we have learned and do better. We got to keep growing, okay, guys? So that was today's tip. I hope that it helped. I hope that it was applicable, and I hope that you guys have some sense of feedback. I love hearing from you guys, so thank you to the ones that like to give me some feedback. Love you guys, and until next week, take care, be good, and be good to yourself, okay? All right, love you. Bye.